Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod's IAS classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to see current affairs of 7th July 2022. So let's get started with our discussion and let us try to see the quote first. Actually, the quote which mainly talks about society. So here, society, it is one of the important part of our preparation because we need to understand the society, because you are going to become future bureaucrats and you are going to work very much close to people. So first of all, understanding society is the important part and it is also important challenge. So why it is an important challenge? Why I'm saying it is important challenge? For example, you came from so and so state but you are posted in different state. So many a times, even if you are in the same state, if you are moving from one district to another district, so there will be a lot of change. You can talk about practices, cultural practices. You can talk about food habits. And you can talk about the different things, different rituals. So there will be some change if you are moving from one district to another district in the same state. So as a civil servant, you have to move from one state to another state. So there will be repeated transfers and you have to move from one department to another department. So here you need to understand society. So here this quote which is made talking about society. So if you can't inspire me, don't demolish me either. And also this quote, it is very much relevant from our UPSC point of view. As you all know, to clear this UPSC, so many aspirants, they will be taking a lot of time. So some aspirants who are mainly started their preparation in their graduation, and if their parents or civil servant or any group 1 or group 2 officers, so they will be guiding their children. But what is the situation of the students who do not have a proper guidance, right? So here in this long journey of preparation, so many a time society may insult you. Okay, so at that time you can remember this quote that, dear society, if you can't inspire me, don't demolish me either. So please write this quote anyway, so such that you will be get motivated whenever you come across negative circumstances. Yes, it is very much sure that you will be coming across this type of demolishing like things, and you will be getting ups and downs in your preparation. But you have to think once again, like, so why you opt for this? So what is the reason behind you opting this civil services? So why you want to become a civil servant? So when you think about that, yes, again you can recharge with full potential and you can again restart your preparation. Okay. So this is a quote for the student. I dedicate this quote for the student, especially who are facing ups and downs in their preparation. So now let us try to see first topic. It is regarding Shimla Agreement. So why this Shimla Agreement is important? So if you're talking about history and some agreements, you can get question or you can expect question like, so whether it is 25th anniversary or 50th anniversary or 75th anniversary or 100th anniversary, like that. So if there is any important thing, yes, you can expect a question. And why I selected this Shimla Agreement for this analysis today? Because it completes 50 years. So there's a high chance of getting question regarding the Shimla Agreement in your upcoming mains. And especially students who cleared this year prelims, they have to focus on the Shimla Agreement. And this topic is important from your GS paper 2 and it is important from your international relations. And the students who are beginner, they might be thinking that, yes, ma'am is saying that this is important for the students who are going to write this means. So is it not relevant for us? Yes, for you also it is relevant because you are going to study your static syllabus, okay, in GS2. So there you come across this Shimla Agreement in post-independent history and even in international relations, okay. So knowing our history is very important. So from history, so we can understand how laws had been evolved. And if you know about the Shimla Agreement and if you know about the provisions of the Shimla Agreement, and you can understand so whether it is relevant today or not. So in this type, you can get a question in your mains. So whether it is relevant or not. So if you're talking about context, as I said, so the Shimla Agreement, which mainly completed 50 years. So actually this agreement, when it was signed, so you have to know some facts as well. So when it was signed in 1971. So in this 1971 there was one event which mainly happened, that is Indo-Pakistan War. Okay, Indo-Pakistan War. So we can also say it is as a liberation of Bangladesh. Okay, it is also called as liberation of Bangladesh. So after this Indo-Pakistan War of 1971, so Bangladesh which mainly came into picture. So earlier, before 1971, so actually if you go back further, so after the partition of India, so here in 1947 we got independence. So at that time here partition of India which mainly happened. So before this 1947 we had undivided India. So in this undivided India we have Pakistan, we have India together. But here during this 1947 we came up with this partition, and you can talk about the Mountbatten plan here. So here what happened, so during this 1947, during the independence, so here Pakistan which made it divided from India. So at that time we have West Pakistan and we have East Pakistan. So East Pakistan, it is nothing but at present Bangladesh. So here what happened, West Pakistan which mainly want to control this East Pakistan. So what happened, so there was some refugees, they mainly entered into India from this East Pakistan to save their lives. So at that time India and Pakistan, they mainly entered into this war-like situation, and in 1971 war of Indo-Pakistan, that led to this liberation of this East Pakistan, and this is now the present Bangladesh. Okay, so this is about some history, especially for the beginners, they need to know about this history. And if you're talking about what are the principles of this Shimla agreement, yes, you have to know that principles, then only you can understand the present ceasefire violations across this India and Pakistan. So what is happening across this border? Okay, so what are some terrorist activities which are mainly done by this Pakistan, whether the Shimla agreement is relevant now or not. So you can understand this. So try to get the perspectives. Okay, so if we're talking about the principles of the Shimla agreement, so relations, they were to be governed by the principles and purposes of United Charter. So here we need to have relations, and which are the guiding principles of the relation now. So that is based on the principles and purposes of this United Nations Charter. And we need to focus on cooperative relationship between India and Pakistan, and especially we need to focus on people to people contacts. So why we need to focus on this people to people contacts? So before 1947, yes, we have undivided India. So in this undivided India, some number of people, they migrated to Pakistan, and from Pakistan to India, there are a number of people migrated. So because of this, whenever you are talking about this citizenship charter, we are talking about citizenship charter, so some articles which mainly talking about some provisions like the people who migrated to India and people who entered into Pakistan. So here there is some important thing regarding the people who migrated. So because of this, here mostly here across this Indo-Pakistan border, so there are a number of people, they are sharing the common family actually. So they do not enter, and as well as they do not come. Okay, so these are some important things and important things that we can say here. So why we are talking about this people to people contacts? Because earlier in undivided India, so people used to live together, but after once this partition done, and because of some important issues regarding instrument of accession of Jammu and Kashmir, so we came up, or in Pakistan, that led to increasing of some negative feelings regarding India. Right, so here because of this, here especially we need to focus on this people to people contacts. Okay, and if you're talking about some more important principles to uphold inviolability of line of control in this Jammu and Kashmir. So if you see here across India and Pakistan, we have LOC, line of control. Okay, so this line of control which mainly acting as a boundary between India and Pakistan. So across this line of control, several times we can see ceasefire violations, and even now there are a number of reports that here Pakistan, which is mainly using drones, okay, for the drug trafficking, armed trafficking, and even many times we can see there will be going for digging of tunnels to illegally enter into India. Right, so here we can see there are a number of violations that is seen across this line of control. And here this Shimla agreement says that we need to prevent propaganda against each other and resolve issues through peaceful means and bilateral negotiation. And if you're talking about one more issue between India and Pakistan, here is fishermen issue, right? So fishermen, especially from this Gujarat, they will be going into the sea and they will be crossing this international line. So here international boundary, and those people, they will be taken up by this Pakistan Navy and they will be arrested there. Okay, so here whenever there is any issue between India and Pakistan, we need to go for resolving through peaceful means and as well as bilateral negotiation. But whether it is happening or not, let me know in the comment box. And next one here is, we need to refrain from the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of each other. So that means we need to respect individual territory and as well as individual sovereignty and integrity of so and so country. And we need to respect each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity as well. Okay, so this is about this topic. And now I want to give you one mains question so that you can get some insights like how question will be framed. So India fiasco to convert its victory in this 1971 war into a long lasting peace in the region via Shimla Agreement of 1972, a case of missed opportunity examined. So here this statement which mainly says that this Shimla Agreement of 1972, which is a case of missed opportunity. So we have to examine, and you can write about whatever the examples I said regarding ceasefire violation, regarding the using of drugs, and you can talk about Pakistan, India, fishermen issue. So like that you can talk about some important issues. And you can talk about number of terrorist attacks like Pulwama attack, and you can talk about Uri attack, and in retaliation India mainly went for this Balkot attack. So you can write all these examples. And now let us try to see next topic. Here this topic I collected from the Times of India. So many students are commenting that you can cover only Hindu, but my point of view here is sometimes all articles will not be covered in Hindu. So you can miss some articles, but I am trying to cover articles which are important from Hindu and even some sources like Times of India and Indian Express and as well as PIB, All India Radio also. So here this will be giving you comprehensive current affairs of that day, and I will try to explain the concept clearly so that after watching this 1 hour of video, then you will be getting some knowledge. So getting knowledge, it is my aim and it is my moral responsibility that I have to give respect to your time. And one more thing I want to make clarity here is, so many students are talking about and giving comments about my pronunciation. Actually I am from a rural background, so that sometimes the pronunciation may be different from you and me. So actually the language is one of the medium to express, that's it. So please try to understand, and you can see the word on the screen such that you can come up with your own pronunciation. Okay, so now let us try to see the article. Here is, increase House panel tenure, enable virtual meetings, committee tells Naidu. So here this article is mainly talking about parliamentary committees. So if you open your Lakshmikant, there is one separate chapter regarding this parliamentary committees. And after once this lecture is done, so please open your Lakshmikant and try to go through that parliamentary committees chapter. That is very important because you can get a lot of questions from that parliamentary committees in your prelims. And after once I discuss this topic, I will be also showing you one question which appeared in the previous years as well. That is from mains and even prelims. So now let us try to see the context. If you see context, it mainly says that here Rajya Sabha, so as you all know, so Parliament of India, which mainly contains President, Rajya Sabha and as well as Lok Sabha. So as you all know, Rajya Sabha, it is the upper house and Lok Sabha, it is the lower house. So here Rajya Sabha, which mainly tells now that, so whenever we are going for the proceedings of this Rajya Sabha, so they will be also going to discuss some important, and they will be going for discussing of some parliamentary standing committees and their reports as well. So here this Rajya Sabha proceedings to discuss the import and as well as implications of reports which are mainly finalized by this parliamentary standing committees, a panel which mainly headed by General Secretary mainly recommended that yes, if any bill which need to be passed in the house, first we need to go for debate, discussions and voting. So in this debate, discussion and this voting process, so if there is any need for the reference, okay, they will be sent to this standing committees. Okay, they will be studying that and they will be coming up with some any recommendations or any changes. So here this article says that we need to have a dedicated hour in the proceedings, especially to look over the recommendations of this parliamentary standing committees. So if you are talking about further more details, it mainly says, so it studied the working of Rajya Sabha Secretariat and even other procedural issues, and they came up with 130 recommendations. So actually it is the first ever comprehensive study of this Rajya Sabha Secretariat. So this article which is about Rajya Sabha Secretariat, and recently which the study which mainly conducted about how this Rajya Sabha Secretariat is working, and it mainly came up with 130 recommendations. So out of that, one recommendation here is we need to have a special dedicated hour to discuss recommendations of this parliamentary standing committees. And actually this Rajya Sabha Secretariat which mainly started in year 1952, and at that time there were about 200 officers and staff, and now it increased to 1700 personnel at present. If we are talking about what are the suggestions of this panel, so they mainly said that, so first and the foremost thing here is we need to increase parliamentary committees. We need to increase the tenure of these parliamentary committees. So as of now, what is the tenure of these parliamentary committees? That is 1 year. So from 1 year, we need to increase it to 2 years. So this is the first suggestion. And we need to increase the field visits. So field visits need to be increased. At present, we have 2 visits and maximum here is 10 days per year. And we can increase it to 3 visits and maximum it is for 15 days. This is second important suggestion. And next one is parliamentary committee hour. So we need to come up with committee hour. So here departmental standing committees, they will be coming up with their reports with their recommendations. So we need to give some time especially to discuss them as well. And reports should be accessible. So this panel says that, so what are the reports which are coming up by this parliamentary standing committees? They should be more accessible to stakeholders and even general public. That will help to increase accountability and as well as transparency. And we can also ensure probity in governance. And next one here is we need to go for streamlining of secretariat work. Okay, so this study which mainly suggested that, so streamlining of this secretariat work, that means we need to dispose about 75% of issues at lower and middle level itself. And now let us try to see the question which appeared in 2018 UPSC mains. Then you can understand how questions will be asked from this type of topics. So why do you think the committees are considered to be useful for parliamentary work? So you can write about what is the importance of these committees, and you can add a note on different types of parliamentary committees that are present, and you can write about what are the functions. And discuss in this context the role of estimate committee. So here the second part of the question which mainly asking about this estimate committee. So you can get answer for this question directly from your Lakshmikant itself. And the next question is, consider the following statements. Both Public Accounts Committee and Committee on Public Undertakings, they have 22 members. Yes, we have different committees like Public Accounts Committee, Estimates Committee. So we are having departmental standing committees, ethics committees, so on. So they are the different members. Okay, so it is not the constant that only 22 members are present in each and every committee. So each and every committee which is having their specified numbers, and you have to know that. And please try to make a chart from that chapter, so that how many members are there from Rajya Sabha and how many members are there from Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. So there are 2 committees where there are only the members from only one house. So let me know which are those committees in the comment box. Okay, so here first statement here is both Public Accounts Committee and Committee on Public Undertakings, they have 22 members, each 15 elected from Lok Sabha and 7 from Rajya Sabha. And second one here is Parliament is not bounded by recommendations of these committees. So here the question demands which or the following are not correct. So many a times after reading these statements, yes, we know that both these statements are correct. And without seeing whether the question asking for correct or incorrect statements, so we will be blindly going for bubbling of this option C. So after once bubbling is done, there is nothing to do here, right? So here before bubbling, so please try to ensure that whether it is asking for correct statements or not correct statements. Here in this question it is not correct. So answer will be D, 1, neither 1 and not 2. So this is about this question. And now let us try to see next topic. Title says fewer judges increasing pendency, hope for movement by government to clear names, CJI. So this article from Indian Express. So this article which is mainly talking about some problems we are facing in our judiciary. So if we are talking about important organs of state, I can say we have legislature, we have executive, we have judiciary. We have legislature, we have executive, and we have judiciary. So what is the work of legislature? So it is mainly making the laws. It mainly makes the laws. And who will implement the laws? So it is a function of our executive. It will implement the laws. So regarding laws, making laws and implementing laws, which is done by legislature and executive respectively. Then what is the work of this judiciary? Why we need this judiciary? Why we need these courts like Supreme Court, High Court, subordinate courts? So we need this judiciary especially to interpret the laws. So interpret the laws means what? So here, what are the laws which are made by this legislature, whether they are according to our Constitution of India or not? So in our Constitution, we have different parts, different schedules. So whether what are the laws which is making by this legislature, they are according to our Constitution or not? So if they are according to our Constitution, then okay, it is good. Then what is the condition if they are not according to the provisions of our Indian Constitution? So they will be interpreted by judiciary and they will be made null and void. So this is the actual functions of this judiciary, and these are the important organs of our state. And why this article which is mainly talking about challenges of judiciary? Yes, what happened if you are talking about judiciary, which mainly includes Supreme Court, we can talk about High Court, and we can talk about subordinate courts. So in this all these three levels, if you are talking about hierarchy of courts in India, so at top we have Supreme Court. It is called as apex court, and in every state we have High Court, okay, which is the topmost court in that so and so state. And in every districts we will be having subordinate courts. So in the subordinate courts again we will be having civil courts, we will be having criminal courts, right? So there are different names which is given for the civil court and different name for the criminal courts, and they will be having again there will be having hierarchy in this subordinate courts that you can get easily from this Lakshmikant. So what happened here? So in this Supreme Courts, High Courts, so if we got a building of that Supreme Court or High Court, whether the function will happens? No. So we need proper infrastructure. So in this infrastructure we can talk about lawyers, about judges, and we need some infrastructure, right? So what happened if you're talking about judges? So whenever there is no proper number of judges to address the cases, means what happened? So the efficiency of this judiciary will be got decreased, right? So here the one problem that we are facing is pendency of cases. So why there is a pendency of cases? So here we can talk about two important things. So nowadays people, they got more conscious about the issues and they started filing of PILs, that is public interest litigations. And even earlier people did not properly aware about there is judiciary, and if they have any dispute they have to go to courts. But now because of technology, each and every person, they mainly own mobiles, and even in the rural areas also they have internet facility, so that they will be knowing about, so if there is any problem, what are the solutions they can adopt. and they started filing of number of cases, and that led to increasing of cases. And apart from that, here on another side, so if you're talking about number of judges, so there is a vacancy of judges that is seen in the Supreme Court, High Courts and District Courts as well. So because of this number of judges which are less, means what happened? So the number of cases they will be taking in that day will be reduced. So that will lead to further piling up of cases, that is further pendency of cases. And in this context, we can go for alternate dispute resolution mechanism. It is a one solution that I can say. So, but here this article which is talking about increasing of pendency of cases, mainly because of there is no proper appointment of cases and there is delay of appointment of cases which is mainly happening. So, if you are talking about appointment and transfer of cases, here I need to talk about one important system, that is collegium system. So, if you want to know about the evolution of this collegium system, so you need to know about number of judgments, okay, that is first judge case, second judge case and third judge case and fourth judge case. So in this fourth judge case, which mainly made this NJAC Act unconstitutional, and again we came up with this collegium system. So this collegium system which mainly emerged during this third judge case, and again we moved back to this collegium system now regarding appointment and transfer of cases. So these are some important things that you have to know as a beginner, and even if you have started your preparation long back and if you give number of attempts, yes, you have to revise these topics for sure. So actually I discussed these all topics in detail in the Lakshmikant series. There you can refer the judiciary chapter. In Supreme Court and High Court, I discussed these topics very detailedly. And if you open even your Lakshmikant, then you can come across these cases and you will come across regarding what is the background of this collegium system also. So if you see some details, it mainly says that, so what is this collegium system? So collegium system is nothing but it is a forum which mainly takes decisions regarding appointment and as well as transfer of judges. So I want to give a small homework and I want to ask a question, that who are going to appoint the judges of Supreme Court and judges of High Court? Okay, who are going to appoint judges of Supreme Court and High Court, and let me know your answer in the comment box. So whenever I am asking any question, so please try to make the reply. Okay, please try to comment in the comment box. So that will helpful, especially to make a habit. Whenever you come across any question, then your brain will start function fast, and try to make it as a habit. And I will see how many comments will come in the comment box today for the questions I asked in this lecture. Okay. So if you are talking about members of this collegium system, we have CJI will be there and 4 Supreme Court judges. And this collegium system which mainly born from these 3 judge cases. And judiciary gets greater say than executive. So even if you are talking about this collegium system, there are a number of criticism that mainly seen. So criticism here is the administration of this collegium system, which is not good. So administrative burden of checking professional background data. So this is one challenge. And apart from that, here this collegium system do not have proper transparency. That means they are not going to disclose the names. And next one here is exclusively here sidelines talented junior judges and advocates are mainly present. So here this talented junior judges are also there, but here only the senior Supreme Court judges are members. And if you're talking about what are the chances, okay, what are the choices that we have, okay, so here if you're talking about chances, so CJI cannot make unilateral choice. So consulted judges, they are also taken into consideration before recommending the names to, okay, before recommending the names for appointment and transfer. And non-compliance must make CJI choice non-binding. And transfer of judges reviewable only in the case of non-compliance. So these are some important changes that are mainly set. So if you're talking about other issues we are mainly seeing in this judiciary apart from pendency of cases and vacancies, so first important thing here is political pressure. Yes, we have political pressure in the judiciary. So how can I say yes, there is political pressure? So after listening this, then you will be also accepting yes, the political pressure is there. So while the ruling party, they wants court to endorse it most. So you can talk about recent judgments. Okay, for example, you can talk about Ram Mandir case, and especially whenever the government is involved, then that case will be delayed. So I'm not saying against the government, so please don't make me wrong, please don't take it wrong, but so try to understand why some cases are delaying, why Supreme Court which is not taking some important cases. So it is only many a times we can see the judgment which is mainly coming in favor of government. For example, you can talk about Ram Mandir case, right? So while ruling party want courts to endorse it most, so opposition wants judges to fight its political battles. So here at the last, judiciary which is mainly accountable to only Indian constitution. And if you're talking about the second important issue here is criticism on social media. So judicial rulings, they are against a judge. Okay, so here the criticism that is mainly seen regarding this judicial rulings. And next one is inordinate delays in some cases. As I said earlier, the cases regarding electoral bonds which need to be happen so as soon as possible, and even plea regarding girls issue of Karnataka, that is regarding wearing of hijabs. Okay, hijab is nothing but the headgear which is mainly worn by this women of Muslim community. And this one is some contradictions that we can see regarding this Gnanvapi case. So Gnanvapi Masque, which mainly seen in news because of controversy that Hindus says that it was earlier the Hindu temple. And recently there were some studies which is mainly done, and even a committee of this Archaeological Survey of India, they mainly gave and they mainly submitted the report to this court. And because of this Gnanvapi Mosque case, so it also led some criticism regarding this Place of Worship Act as well, and even Ayodhya ruling of 2019. And next one here is Sedation Law. So courts mainly continue to ignore Supreme Court directions on bail and not jail as a default setting on unproven charges. And if you're talking about vacancy, there is a huge vacancy that is seen in the high courts and Supreme Courts and even in the lower court. So if you're talking about what can be the suggestions and what is a way forward, so this way forward part will be useful to write your conclusion in your mains answer. So first one here is we need to go for transformation, and we need to go for filling of vacancies as soon as possible, right? And next one here is we need to reduce response period from the government. So government should expedite the process so that the remaining vacancies can be reduced considerably. So government should not take much time in delaying of this appointment process. And next one is there is a use of arbitration. So because of increasing of pendency of cases, we can also go for other alternate dispute mechanisms as well. So here in number of countries, they also came up with this type of mechanism, that is alternate dispute resolution mechanism, and that will be helpful for disposing of the case fast and effective manner. Especially if you're talking about the cases regarding this POCSO and even rape cases, they can be sent to this fast track courts mainly to deliver the justice fast. As you know, justice delayed is justice denied. So we should not be like that justice is denied. So yes, country and the government need to provide the justice for all. So for that we can go for alternate dispute resolution mechanism, and even we can use this provision of fast track courts. And next one here is the presence of such international arbitration centers, which not only boosts the India's global position, but even it will also have advantage that India will become investment friendly nation, because as you all know, there were number of MNCs which are mainly present in India, and India mainly became one of the best investor friendly nation. So if there is any cases, for example, recently government came up with this new advertisement rules, and even regarding Amazon, number of cases that are mainly happening. So even regarding Vodafone, etc. So whenever we are having this fast track cases, disposing of cases, that will be also helpful for the investors. They can come forward to invest in India, right? So these are some important advantages and important suggestions, and this is about this topic. And let me know, so for how many people? So it is like 30 to 35 minutes you are staying with me. So let me know what is your opinion. So whether it is useful or not. So if it is useful, so please type useful in the comment box. And in the next 30 minutes, you are going to learn a lot more things and lot more concepts are waiting for you. So please stay tuned. So now again, let's come back and let us try to see the one more mains question. So that is, the judicial systems in India and UK seem to be converging and as well as diverging in recent times. So highlight the key points of convergence and divergence between the two nations in terms of judiciary practices. So where we connect this question? So in our governance topic, yes, there is one topic like comparison of Indian constitution with other constitutions. So there we will be learning about and comparing about Indian constitution with the American constitution, Indian constitution with the UK constitution. Actually, you know that. So there is a lot of impact of this UK in our Indian constitution. Yes, we made number of laws which are very much similar regarding this UK's constitution. Why? Because we were under the control, or we were under the administration of this British for the long years. Okay, so yes, there will be some impact automatically that we can see. So here you have to make a note of what are the similarities and what are the differences. So this is a question which appeared in 2020 means. So please try to write the answers. So what are the questions I am giving? So please try to attempt answers for those questions. So that will be helpful for you people. So in this way it will be also helpful for giving the work to your brain. So whenever you start writing, then only your hand moves. So if at all you are not giving any task to your brain, yes, your brain will be in a sleeping mode itself. It will be not working actively. So if you want to make your brain sharp, so try to answer this type of spontaneous questions. Try to recall the things that you have already known and already have studied earlier. So now let us move on to next topic. It is regarding supercomputers. So especially the students who are beginners, so they might be not knowing about what is supercomputers. And this article I collected from this Mint. So here this is the article which made talking about recent report of supercomputers across the world. So you know that. I think you might be surprised at that. So India also has supercomputers. But if you're comparing with the US and China, you're having a very minuscule or minute percentage of having the supercomputers. Right, so now let us try to analyze this report and let us try to understand what is a supercomputer as well. So I will be giving you some example to understand what is the difference between normal system and as well as supercomputer. So let me take, this is the laptop, for example. I am using it present to record this video. And if you see, this is a supercomputer. The size itself, it is saying that it is huge. It is a very large. And if you're talking about the size of this normal PC or normal system or normal laptop that you can use in your homes, it is a very small size. And if you're talking about this supercomputer, the size of this supercomputer is very large, that so the space that required for this supercomputer will be like a large hall or entire room which occupies for this supercomputer. And where can we use this normal computers? So normal computers that we can use in our home, or we can talk about in offices we will be using, and even in your bank, if you go to bank, so they will be using this computer for entering the data. So here we are using this normal computers in our daily life in offices. But here where the supercomputers will be used, so these supercomputers, they will be used in big organizations. For example, you can talk about NASA, you can talk about ISRO. So what is the difference between the function of these normal computers and supercomputers? So the name itself, it is saying that it is super. So whenever we are giving any task here, so that task will be done within a fraction of seconds. And you can't imagine the fastness of that supercomputer. So if you are giving the same task for our simple computers or laptops that we are using, so it will take some couple of minutes, and sometimes it will take some couple of hours. But here the supercomputers, they will be doing that task within a fraction of seconds. So if you are talking about NASA and ISRO, so whenever they are launching any satellite, yes, they need to track this satellite. They need to track the movement of this rocket. So here they will be using this supercomputers to track the movement of the satellite. So whenever we are using this type of computers, so I want to give you one example. So if there is any mission which mainly failed, okay, for example, let us take this scenario that the mission has been failed. So if you are using this computer, if you are working from home, for example, if you are a scientist and if you are working from home, that yes, you have launched so and so rocket. So it is a hypothetical example to understand this concept, that's it. So if you are using this computer in your home and you are mainly tracking the movement of this rocket, okay, which mainly launched. So this computer says that yes, your rocket, which is mainly moving in a direction that is in the intended direction, is going. But this NASA, within some fraction of seconds, it mainly says that as soon as there is some problem which mainly happen, failure of this mission within the fraction of seconds, here the scientists who are mainly sitting in this NASA and they are observing the movement of the satellite, they will be knowing whether what is the path it is moving and what is the speed which is mainly moving and whether it is having any problems or not. So this supercomputer will be tracing that and it will be giving the information. So there is a lot of difference between the fastness of normal computer and as well as supercomputer. So if you are comparing the fastness of this normal computer with this supercomputer, so this supercomputer will be like thousands of times faster, okay. And if you're talking about the speeds, it is measured in this MIPS, million instructions per second. It is for normal systems, and for this supercomputers, the speed which is mainly measured in flops, okay, FLOPS. So these are some important differences between the normal computer and supercomputer. So I hope you got at least some idea regarding what is normal computer and supercomputer now. So if you have got information and if you had known this new, let me know in the comment box. Yes, it is new for me. And now let us try to see the context. If you see context, it mainly says that as per the global ranking service of supercomputers, so top 500, okay. So if you're talking about this top 500 global supercomputers, so out of these 500 supercomputers, India has only 3 supercomputers among these 500 supercomputers. So those names, or you have to remember, that is Param Siddhi, Param Ganga and Pratyush supercomputer. So why it is important? Because in UPSC prelims, you can get a question like Param Siddhi, Param Ganga and Pratyush. They are seen in news recently. What they are? So you can get option like ISRO mission, you can get options like supercomputer, and you can get option like recent virus or malware. So in this way you can get some options, and the options are also like very confusing, that if you are following 1 year current affairs, so those will be there in news. So every time we can see there will be the new disease, every time we can see the new malware news, and you can see the missions of ISRO and NASA and even supercomputers. So many a times if you want to try to eliminate that type of options, okay, it is very much difficult. So if you know unless and until the correct option, then only you can go for this type of questions, and these are very risky questions if you are having options like directly A, B, C and D. So for that, yes, you need to aware the names also, that is Param Siddhi, Param Ganga and Pratyush supercomputers. They are the examples of supercomputers of India. And in your state public service examination, you can get a question like supercomputers of India, supercomputers of China, supercomputers of USA, supercomputers of USA. So in that options, in that question, in that case, yes, you need to be much more specific. These Param Siddhi, Param Ganga, Param Pratyush, they are the supercomputers of India, not of US, not of China. So in this way you can get the questions. And if you're talking about status of supercomputers, so India had 2 in top 100 in 2020. And most of these supercomputers, top 500 supercomputers, out of this 2/3, okay, out of this 2/3 of these computers which are mainly belongs to US and China. So you can write this type of diagrams, you can draw this type of charts in your answers for sure to improve your presentation. And if you're talking about benefits of this supercomputer, so as I said earlier, so the speed will be very, very high, and it is thousands more speeds, 1000x, okay, compared to that of normal computers, and it can be used in the finding of drug compounds. Actually, if you're talking about the role of supercomputers, especially during this COVID-19, so these supercomputers which mainly helped a lot to design a drug compounds. And next one here is it can be used in other fields like NASA, that is in the space, and even for the chemistry formulations, protein folding, biomedicine, and climate research. So in all these sectors, so this will be very much useful. And if you're talking about what are the steps taken by Government of India, so if you're talking about Government of India steps for the improvement or for development of the supercomputers in India, yes, we have one mission, that is National Supercomputing Mission, and you have to remember this for sure. There is no excuse. So National Supercomputing Mission. So here 15 supercomputers with an aggregate compute capacity of 24 petaflops. So this is a flop, it is mainly the measurement of the speed of computer, that is supercomputer especially, had been installed in the country since 2015 under this National Supercomputing Mission. So we came up with this supercomputing mission in 2015, and from that we are mainly focusing on development of the supercomputers. And this mission, which mainly started in year 2015 and which mainly intended to indigenize the development and manufacturing of powerful computers. So we are mainly focusing on development and even manufacturing of powerful computers. So this mission, which mainly contains three important phases. So first one is phase 1, which mainly talks about assembling of supercomputers, and phase 2, which mainly talks about manufacturing, and phase 3 it is about designing or assembling. So what is a supercomputer? So supercomputer is a computer that everyone says, but it is having a highest speed 1000x times when we are comparing with a normal computer. So which is India's first supercomputer? That is Param 8000. So I want to give you one question. So which is the world's first supercomputer? The name of that world's first computer. So let me know in the comment box. Don't forget about that. So that will be helpful for your competitive examinations. And now let us try to see this image. So actually, what are the video you saw in the starting of this video? So that it is regarding this incident. So this is a landslip which happened in Shimla. So I hope you have watched that video. So it is nothing but landslip. So this landslip or landslide, which is one of the important concepts from your geography. So from geography, it is one of the important topic. So it mainly covers under your static syllabus, and you can write about the recent landslip events and try to make a chart, okay, of recent landslides where it happened, and we discussed number of times regarding this landslip. So here we need to know about some important vulnerability areas where we can see frequent landslides. So now let us try to see what is the meaning of this landslides first of all. So landslides, which mainly defined as the movement of a mass of rock or debris or earth down the slope. So if you see this is a slope, so in this slope what happens, whatever the rocks or whatever the mud or whatever the debris which is present, that will be coming down. So here the important force which mainly acts here is gravity. So here why we are saying about this gravity, why we are mainly blaming the gravity for this landslides. So because of this earth gravitational force, if anything which is mainly thrown upside, automatically that will come downside, right? So whenever there is no proper vegetation here, whenever there is deforestation, or whenever there is saturation of the soil which is present on this slope, which mainly happen, so because of this gravitational force, so this will be coming down. So either it may be boulders, either it may be mud, or either it may be debris. So this movement, that is downward movement because of influence of gravity, that is called as landslide. Okay, so this is the meaning of this landslide. So it mainly comes under mass wasting, okay, mass wasting movements. So it is the movement of either soil or rock, and which mainly comes under direct influence of gravity. So the term landslide, which mainly encompasses 5 modes of slope, that is, for example, falls, turbulence, slides, spreads and flows. So here the meaning of this words. It is very important, and if you open your 11th class NCERT of geography, you can get all these terms with diagrams. So please refer this, and this is one more homework for you. And after once this video is done, so you are going to open your NCERT 11th class and you have to open the chapter regarding this mass movements, and you can read this topic. And this is an image that mainly talks about the landslide. Okay, so these rocks, they are mainly coming down or falling down the slope. So now what are the causes? The causes of this landslide will be like both natural as well as anthropogenic, that is man-made. So if we're talking about natural causes, because of earthquake. So if there is any slope and if there is earthquake which happened, what happened? So because of these waves, that will comes down. So this debris will comes down. And not only this, but because of heavy rains, if there is any soil which is present here on the slope, that will be get saturated and that becomes slippery and that will move downwards. And this type of mudslides are mainly and commonly seen in Kerala. And next one is because of forest fire. So whenever, if you see this slope which is mainly having vegetation, because of this forest fire, so these vegetation had been removed. Means what happened? So the soil which is earlier, which is need to be intact with the roots of these trees, had been become loose now, and they will be coming down. And next one is because of volcanoes as well. So because of this earthquakes, volcanoes, forest fires, and as well as heavy rains, that will lead to landslides. So apart from that, even human actions will also lead to afforestation. For example, whenever we are going for overdevelopment, for example, if there are any hills are present or mountains are present, so whenever we are going for the building of bridges there, okay, so at that time we can also see landslides. And even because of deforestation, mainly to go for improving of agricultural land or to increase agricultural land, we will be going for shifting cultivation. So this shifting cultivation, which is very much prominent even now in the northeastern states. And next one here is because of damage which is mainly causing, okay, to the environment and the ecosystem, that will also lead to this landslides. So here if you're talking about geology, morphology, vegetation, so these are the important causes that I can see. So first one is geology. So geology, which is nothing but the characteristics of material, so which material that is present on that slope, okay, if it is a weak or fractured materials, and if the material which is present in the different layers. And what happens, so whenever there is a weak or fractured materials, means they are very much the strength is very less. And if it is not weak or not strong, if it is not weak, it means if it is strong, or if it is not fractured, means the strength will be high and the stiffness will be high. So based on that, that will lead to landslide. And if you're talking about morphology, we need to know about the slope, okay, whether it is a steep slope or gentle slope. So on this gentle slope or steep slope, whether there is agitation or not, so whether there is a loss of vegetation which mainly happen. So whenever there is a loss of vegetation, that is much prone to this landslides. And next one is vegetation which also holds soil in place, okay. And human activities, like whenever we are going for agriculture, whenever we are going for construction developmental activities, that will also leads to increased risk of this landslide. So here, which are the areas in India which are more prone to landslide? So I will suggest you people to draw the map of India, and you have to point out where are the landslide prone areas. Yes, automatically this Himalayan region. So this Himalayan region is tectonically active region, so that this area which is very much prone to landslides. And not only this Himalayan region, but even in the northeastern region, we can see this Purvanchal region. And next one here is in the Western Ghats region, especially in this Nilagiris and Kerala and Tamil Nadu, they are much prone to this landslide. And you have to draw these diagrams in your examination also. And what are the steps that can be taken to mitigate? So if we're talking about mitigation step, so we need to focus on restricting of development, construction, and we need to limit the agriculture. Only when we are having the moderate slopes, we can go for agriculture, but not the steep slopes. And we need to control the development of large settlements. And next one here is we need to promote large scale afforestation. So we need to decrease or control the deforestation, and we need to control even the forest fires as well. So we need to construct the bunds such that we can reduce the flow of water, and especially we can go for terrace farming. And we need to control the zooming, or we can talk about shifting cultivation. especially Podu in Andhra Pradesh region. So this is about this topic in detail, and I hope you got insights regarding this landslides. So I want to give you one more direction, like, so in disaster management also you can come across the same topic, but whatever the thing that we discuss now, it is based on geography. So, and there is one more side of this topic in disaster management. You can talk about what can be the measures that can be taken to prevent this type of landslides once again, and what are the measures that can be taken during the disaster, and what are the steps that can be taken during this post disaster phase as well, and how government go for rehabilitation reconstruction. So these are some important things that you have to refer from this disaster management point of view. Already the video had been like very much lengthy, and we need to discuss further more editorials in our Hindu, which appear in Hindu. So I will be giving more importance for that editorials, because we need to know the concepts. Actually the editorials that we are going to discuss in today's lecture, that is about the important concept till now we didn't discussed. Okay, so here I am giving the homework for you people, and you have to refer your disaster management point of view here. And you are staying with me from last 15 minutes, so let me know your experience and your journey with me, how it is. And please try to share your experience with your friends, and try to share this video in the WhatsApp groups and Telegrams groups as far as possible. That will be benefiting, that will be going to benefit the other students also, that your peer group. So now let us come back and let us read another editorial, so which appeared in the Hindu. So this article which is talking about no to pharma freebies. So I want to say one thing. So till now you studied about this freebies from elections point of view. So during elections, different political parties, they will be announcing the freebies. So recently here in the economy weekly session, even Servan sir, he made a note on the RBI report regarding these freebies, especially some states, they are mainly spending a lot in the freebies. So whenever any government which is mainly spending on these freebies, means it is like a waste expenditure. So they are not going to creating any assets. So because of this, it is not going to benefit even the future generation. So because of this freebies, that will be also increasing the debt of that so and so state, such that the future people or future generation, they need to pay the tax, okay, to clear that debt. Okay, so this is about some important concept regarding this freebies. So if you watch this last week economic lecture, okay, that is going to be posted I think today. Okay, I think yesterday this had been posted, if I am not wrong. If it is not posted yesterday, and today they will be going to post that video. So please watch that video regarding this freebies and RBI report. So that thing which is nicely explained by the servant sir. So because of that, I am not going to take that topic once again here. So here we are going to talk about pharma freebies. So this topic, it might make you surprise. So after once you listen this topic, then I think this topic might be making you surprised regarding, yes, whether this pharmaceutical companies also provide the freebies. And you will be getting a question like, so for whom this pharmaceutical companies, they will be providing these freebies. So pharmaceutical companies, they are going to provide these freebies for doctors. So why these pharmaceutical companies, they mainly provide some freebies for these doctors? Because these pharmaceutical companies, for example, they are producing so and so tablet. So especially in this case, we are going to talk about Zincovit tablet. So Zincovit tablet is a multivitamin tablet. So if you go normally for the weakness or fever, anything to doctor, they will be prescribing you a multivitamin tablet for sure. So this Zincovit is a one type of tablet which mainly have some multivitamins. Okay, and along with some vital vitamins and as well as minerals, it is having a composition of the tablet. So here what happens, so this pharmaceutical company, they will be approaching the doctors and saying that, so if you prescribe our brand tablets to the patients, then we will be providing you some freebies, for example foreign trip, and you will be getting so and so money into your account, and you will be getting so and so assets like that. So here what happened, so for these freebies, these doctors, they will be start prescribing this so and so branded drugs to the patients. So ultimately what happened, the patients who will believe this doctor as a god, right? So whenever if you're facing any problem, for example, if there is any critical condition is there for your family, for example, if your mother or if your father, they are facing some diseases and they're admitted in ICU, means at that time you will be begging doctors like, doctor, please try to do something and try to save my mother's life or father's life. At that time, what happens? So whenever the doctor prescribing any drugs or any prescription he is giving, yes, you are going to take that medicines for sure. Correct? So will you agree with me or not? If you're agreeing with me, so please let me know. Please comment in the comment box like agree. So I will agree. So yes, here at that time you are going to get that medicine, even though if you are not having enough money to give the treatment or to afford the treatment, yes, you are going to lend to borrow the money, and you are going to use that money for the treatment of your parents, because you are having respect towards your parents and you are loving your parents. Okay, at that time you will be going to manage the money and you will be getting so and so tablets for your parents. So if you're talking about medicines, you will be getting branded medicines and as well as generic medicines in the market. So branded medicines means, for example, every person, whether from your science background or medicine background or your arts background or from maths background, engineering background, they might have used this paracetamol tablet. Yes, you have used this paracetamol tablet. And this paracetamol tablet that will be available in different brands. For example, Dolo 650. For example, Calpol. And you will be also getting the generic medicine like paracetamol 500, paracetamol 650 mg. So if you are going for buying of these branded drugs, that will be costly than compared to generic drugs. So even our Prime Minister, he said that we need to go for promoting of generic drugs in his Mann Ki Baat program. So why? Because your pharmaceutical companies, they are mainly manufacturing their drugs in so and so brand and they are selling for the large with the higher prices. So if you're talking about this paracetamol, so you can get this Dolo within the very cheap and very affordable. So if I'm taking the same example for the anti-cancer drugs, so for one doses you have to pay thousands of rupees. So there what happened, that will lead to increasing of burden on the people. So especially I can connect with the one more topic here, that is out of pocket expenditure. So out of pocket expenditure is very high in India. It is like more than 65%. And even with other countries, if you are comparing, India, it is having a lot of amount of out of pocket expenditure. And even recent budget of this year, which mainly said that we need to decrease this out of pocket expenditure. So one important idea here is how can we decrease this out of pocket expenditure? That is mainly to shifting towards the generic medicine. So even I will be giving you one suggestion like, so if you are taking any prescription and if you are getting the medicines from the medical shop, so try to ask them to give the generic medicines, not the branded medicine, because here both these generic medicines and branded medicine, they will be having the same mechanism of action and they will be having the same effect on the body. So why we have to pay a lot of money for the branded drugs instead of taking these generic drugs? So if you are going and taking the generic drugs, we can save our money and that money we can use for the nutritional supplements. Okay, for example, you can provide good food, you can provide the fruits and you can provide milk, you can provide egg for the so and so patient. So in this way here, we are providing both the medicines and we are also focusing on the nutrition. That will be helpful for the faster recovery from the disease, right? So this is some introduction. I think this introduction is too long. So if you are going into the topic, it mainly says that recent judgment of two-judge bench of Supreme Court. So this case here is Mrs. Apex Laboratories Private Limited versus Deputy Commissioner of Income Tax. So in this case, the judgment which is mainly given by the Supreme Court on February 22, 2022, and this is a very late editorial, I can say. Right, so in this judgment here, Supreme Court which mainly dismissed special leave petition by this Apex Laboratories to claim deduction of freebies given to the doctors. So again, we can connect this topic with income tax. So here, for example, let us take, I have a pharmaceutical company. For example, I own a pharmaceutical company and I got profits of 100 crore rupees. So on this 100 crore rupees, I need to pay income tax for the income tax, right, to the government. So what happened? So out of this 100 crores, I am spending, for example, 50 crore rupees for providing freebies to doctors. So doctors not only in one state, I am approaching the doctors of different states, I am providing freebies for all of them. So I, as an owner of pharmaceutical company, I say that, so now my profit, it is 50 crore rupees only, because out of this 100 crore rupees of profit, I am paying 50 crore rupees for the freebies for the doctors. So here it mainly comes under my expenditure, it is not my profit. So only on my profit of this 50 crore rupees, I am going to pay the income tax. Okay, so here income tax department mainly said that no, you have to pay income tax for this 100 crore rupees, and this case which mainly filed, and finally Supreme Court came up with this judgment. And now let us try to see what the Supreme Court said in this judgment. So your Supreme Court, which means upholded the decision of this Madras High Court bench, and here in this Madras High Court bench, which mainly said that the act of this pharmaceutical companies giving freebies to doctors, it is clearly prohibited by the law. So even if you're talking about this section 337(1) of Income Tax Act of 1961, which mainly says that, so here freebies should not be comes under, okay, you have to pay the tax on that as well. So here judgment which mainly says that this is an unethical practice and illegal practice which is mainly done by this pharmaceutical sector, because it is having far reach impact or outreach impact on the common man. So if we're talking about how the misuse is happening, so pharmaceutical companies, they mainly started misusing of this legislative gap. They are mainly providing freebies to the doctors, and they starting to promote their brands. Actually, this is being prohibited in the law which mainly framed by Medical Council of India. So this Medical Council of India, MC, it is a apex thing, okay, and it is mainly coming up with different laws. So whenever the freebies which are mainly provided by these pharmaceutical companies for these doctors, it is mainly like unethical thing, and this thing which is already prohibited according to the rules which mainly framed by this Medical Council of India. So here company which was giving out freebies to doctors in order to create awareness regarding their brands about their health benefits or health supplement regarding this Zincovit tablet. So your judgment which mainly said that, so the pharmaceutical companies, they are providing the gifts and freebies to the doctors. So it is mainly prohibiting the law, and it has been prohibited under this section 37(1) as well, because it is mainly undermining the public policy. So what is this public policy? So whenever government which is mainly making some rules or regulations, they are mainly focusing on larger public good. But what happened whenever this pharmaceutical companies, they are mainly providing freebies to doctors to promote their brand of drugs, means what happened? So this branded drugs will be having higher cost than compared to the generic cost. So because of this, so this public interest which is mainly undermined here. Okay, so this is the thing which mainly said by this Supreme Court judgment. And here, if you're talking about the relationship between the doctor and patient, so here in the critical situation, I can say, especially in the critical situations, so the relationship between the doctor and the patient here is, so patient will be having 100% confidence on the doctor. And not only the patient, but even the patient attendants, they will be bringing lot of money, and even though they will enter into the debt trap, they knowing that if they are borrowing that amount of the money, they will be entering into the debt trap, and they will be bringing the money, and they will be managing the money, they will be compromising on their poverty, and they will be bringing money, and they will be getting the medicines. Okay, so even though the medicines are unaffordable by the people, so they will be borrowing the money, and they will be getting that medicines. So in this way, that is one of the important reason for the debt trap. Okay, so because of this, we can say whenever there is health problem which is mainly occurring to any person, so that family will going into the debt trap. Okay, so in this situation here, doctors, they should not prescribe the branded drugs, and here taking of this or accepting this freebies is immoral. So here the court which mainly made a conscious effect that the cost of such freebies is factored in the cost of medicines sold. So in turn, that will lead to increasing of prices, and that will lead to injurious cycle to the people, general public. So this is about this topic, and I hope you got some idea. So if you think that you got some knowledge regarding this topic, yes, please reply in the comment, or please comment in the comment box like, yes, I gained knowledge. And now let us move on to next topic, that is hate crime punishment. So this topic, which is mainly talking about hate speech. So we are not going and see into the deep of this topic regarding what is this incident which mainly happened, but we are going to see what is this hate speech and what are the causes of this hate speech and what are the suggestions. So this part is important from UPSC point of view. We are not going in revolving into the what, who spoke what and what is the impact. So we are not going to see the political things. Political things are not at all required for UPSC. Okay, we need to understand the concept and we need to see what is the impact on the society at the large. And this topic is important from our GS paper too. And what is this hate speech refers to? So in general, it refers to the words whose intent it is to create hatred towards a particular group. So we are mainly seeing that it is mainly creating some hatred, and this group may be community or religion or race. And this speech may or may not have meaning. And if you're talking about even 267th report of this Law Commission of India, which mainly said that hate speech is stated as incitement to hatred primarily against the group of persons, especially if you're taking a certain race or certain ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, religious belief, etc. So this is the meaning of this hate speech according to this Law Commission report. So if you're talking about what are the reasons here is feeling of superiority. So yes, there are some stereotypes in our society. They said that they are superior over the others. Yes, still caste feeling, it is still present in our society. Will you agree with me or not? Let me know your comment in the comment box. If you agree, you can say I agree. If you're not agree, and give your own reasons why you're agreeing and not agreeing with this statement. Yes, caste system is still prevalent, or caste feeling is still prevalent in our society. And next important reason here is stubbornness to particular ideology. So some group of people, they are sticking to certain ideology, certain particular ideology. So without taking care of the people who are coexisting with them. Okay, so it is also leads to the hate speech. And if you are talking about legal position of this hate speech, whether there are any laws in India to deal with this hate speech, yes, of course. So if you are talking about section 153A, section 153B of IPC, which mainly talks about the punishing the acts which mainly creates enmity between the two groups, and section 295A of IPC, which mainly deals with punishing acts with deliberately or malicious intention, and it is also focusing on religious feelings as well. And section 5051 and section 5052 also talks about publication and circulation of content. And next one here is under this Representation of People's Act. So in polity, if you're talking about politics, so we will be also having one act, that is Representation of People's Act of 1951. So this act which also talks about this hate speech, and this act which also prevents a person who convicted of illegal use of freedom of speech. And even section 123(3)(a) and 125 of Representation of this People's Act, which mainly talks about this on the grounds of race, religion, community, caste or language, etc. So we should not go for corrupt electoral practices. So this is about in topic in detail. And now let us try to see the last topic of the day. It is about CBAM, that is Carbon Pricing System of European Union. So till now we didn't discuss this topic, and now let us try to understand this topic. So this topic will be important from international relations and even economy point of view. So please try to focus. Already I know that video had become very much lengthy, but I can't do anything because it is my moral responsibility to explain the things detail. So now let us try to see this topic. So if you are talking about this carbon neutrality, so what is this carbon neutrality? So the amount of carbon dioxide released is equal to amount of carbon dioxide absorbed. So this is called as carbon neutrality, or This is the thing that you have to remember, and whenever you are writing equation like this, then it will be very much good, and you will be telling that examiner that I know clearly what is the concept of this carbon neutrality. So if you are talking about climate change, yes, we are experiencing this climate change events. So here European Union, which is a forefront, it is mainly forefront in dealing with this climate change. And if you're talking about some countries like Norway, Sweden, UK, France, Spain, Japan, Germany, Canada, Costa Rica, US, Brazil, India and China, so they mainly set their own net zero targets. And recently in this COP26, which mainly held in November 2021 in Glasgow, so here we came up with our carbon neutrality targets, and our Prime Minister said that by this 2070 we are going to achieve this carbon neutrality. And if you're talking China, the target here is 2060. So if you're talking about a forefront of commitment to this net zero, here European Union, which mainly came up with this first carbon neutral region in the world by 2050. So it want to be the first in the race. So for that, here European Union came up with this European Union Green Deal. Okay, it want to transform the European Union society into fair and wealthy one in the modern and resource efficient and as well as competitive economy, and it is mainly focusing on the green economy. So here it mainly talking about zero pollution Europe, and want to transition to the circular economy, and this economy should be focused on the carbon free economy and farm to fork towards green CAP, and mainly talks about take everything along, that is transition mechanism. It mainly focusing on financing the transition. And next one is they are focusing on clean and renewable and affordable energy. They are focusing on achieving climate neutrality and sustainable transport, and even preserving Europe's natural capital. So these are some important components of this European Green Deal, and you can draw this diagram simply. And if you're talking about what is this carbon pricing system, so I will be giving you a simple thing, and I will going to explain you about this carbon pricing system within less than 2 minutes. So please stay with me. Within 2 minutes I will be explaining this concept. For example, let us take this is as European Union. Okay, so whenever it is importing some goods, so it is importing some goods from other countries, and whenever it is entering its border, so this European Union which is going to impose carbon tax on these products. So whenever the carbon tax it is imposed, the cost of these products will be high. So why this European Union came up with this carbon tax or carbon pricing system? So the first important reason here is, here European Union, it want to decrease this greenhouse gases and it want to focus on this climate change, to decrease this climate change. Actually, you know that here this climate change, it is a global problem. It is not only the problem of this European Union. So here not only European Union but even other countries, they have to take steps towards decreasing of this climate change or to decrease this greenhouse gas emissions. So for that, here it is mainly adding this carbon tax. So it is mainly imposed in a phased manner. So for to decrease this greenhouse emissions and to focus on this climate change, here European Union which mainly came up with some stringent laws on the companies or industries of this European Union. So mainly to decrease this greenhouse emissions, they need to focus on furthermore technology so that the cost of production will be high. Okay, the first one is cost of production of products in this European Union will be high because of stringent laws. So if there is any product which is mainly coming from other countries, the product's cost will be low, means it will be affecting this domestic countries. So here it is imposing this domestic industries, not countries. So it is imposing this carbon dioxide tax or carbon pricing system to make these goods or competitive with the goods which are coming from other countries, also because there is increasing of tax whenever there is whenever there is increasing of or adding of this carbon pricing. So this is first important reason. And second one is, so because of this stringent provision in this European Union, so this company can make establishment in other countries where the carbon related restrictions are very low, for example like India and other countries. So what happened there, they can go for production of the goods and those goods come to this European Union, right? So what happened, that will leads to this carbon leakages. So to decrease this carbon leakages, here European Union came up with this carbon pricing system. Okay, and especially it is mainly imposed in a phased manner, in some phases. Especially in the first phase, they will be imposing this carbon dioxide tax on the products like cement, steel, aluminium, electricity. So where we can see in these sectors there is a large amount of this carbon dioxide release which is mainly seen. Okay, so this is about this carbon pricing mechanism of this European Union. So I hope you understand this. So especially for countries like India, it is a one of cause of concern. Why? So especially the products which are mainly coming from India like steel, aluminium, iron, electricity and cement like that. So the cost will be very much high. So because of this, it mainly affects the exports of India. It mainly has some impact on this exports. Exports might be decreased because of high cost, because of imposition of this carbon pricing. And next one here is India, which mainly says that it is against this CBDT, okay, common but differential treatment. So in this common but differential treatment, we can say like we have developed countries, we have developing countries. So developed countries, they already released as much as emissions already. But if you're talking about developing countries, they are now developing, and least developing countries do not even come into the phase of industrial revolution. So that here comparatively, if you're comparing with this developed and developing and least developed countries, so developing and least developed countries, they release less amount of emissions. But if you are imposing the same restrictions on these developed and developing countries, your developing countries, they will be going into loss. Because already these least developed countries and the developing countries, they have some issues regarding poverty, hunger. They have to mainly address these challenges of those countries. And whenever we are imposing the same issues, okay, same limits, means it will be mainly having some negative impacts on the economies. So because of this, we came up with this concept of this common but differential treatment. So it is against this, and even in the WTO also it is mainly against the some important things. So because of this, these are some important concerns of India. Okay, so this is about in detail regarding this CBAM. So you can see this thing in this infographic. Here you can see European Union has adopted a resolution to implement carbon border adjusted system, and it mainly came up with this Fit for 55. It is a new European law, and this law which mainly aims to reduce this greenhouse gas emissions by 55%, and the target here is to 2030, and we need to bring 0 to 2050. And it is a cause of concern for India because especially some important items like steel and aluminium that we are exporting to this European Union. So because of this carbon tax here, that will lead to some economic loss for India. And this is about this carbon adjustment system. I discussed this. Okay, so this is about this topic. And if you are talking about the what is the way forward, what is the progressive steps, so recently there have been increasing some initiatives from both the sides, especially between India and European Union. We can see there is a development or blossoms of new flowers that we can see, and there are some talks regarding India European Union free trade agreement, and that mainly leads to finalize. So we are going to finalize even free trade agreement between India and European Union. So in this context here, both India and they can promote or they can commit on this climate change, and we can come up with alliance, and that will be helpful for the mutual growth. And even rather imposing of tax on this products which are exported to European Union, so we can cooperate together for the cleaner and greener technologies as well. Okay, so this type of partnership will be very much helpful for the both India and European Union. Okay, so this is about this topic, and this topic is very important. And let me know your opinion on my Hindu analysis. You are being with me from 1.5 hours. So please let me know. So how you felt. So after listening for this, after listening of this class, after this 1.5 hours, how you felt. Whether you felt that yes, I can understand the current affairs. So whether you are in that stage or not, let me know in the comment box. Okay, yes, I am confident now. So if you are confident that if you are following our channel, yes, you can improve your current affairs or not. So please let me know your opinion in the comment box, whether you are confident or not. If you are confident, yes, let me know in the comment box that I am confident. Okay, so now let us try to see yesterday's questions, that is regarding the Sangam Tamil poems. So early Sangam Tamil poem speaks 5 eco zones in this what is this Mullai means. So for that 5 eco zones are Kuranji means hill and forest, and Mullai means pasture land with low hills and thin forest, and Marutam means fertile agriculture plains, and Neothal means sea coast, and this one is Palai. Palai means arid zones. Here Mullai means pasture land with low hills and thin forest. Option 2 is correct answer. And next question here, it is regarding Megasthenes. So Megasthenes has given a vivid description of Mauryan city administration. So which of the following are correct regarding this Mauryan city administration? So city council has divided into 6 committees and each committee has 5 members, yes. And there was a committee to look after foreigners, yes. And next one is Ardhashastra also mentioned these 6 committees. So Ardhashastra is not going to make any comment on these 6 committees. So correct option will be 1 and 2. And you can see these 6 committees in the PDF. And today's questions are, the first one is regarding Buddha's teachings and second one is regarding Mahajanpadas. So try to give me the answers for these 2 questions in the comment box. And now let us try to see today's Hindu newspaper PDF. So let us fast. I will give you just headlines of Hindu which are important and that you have to refer. Okay, just for your knowledge. So the first topic, it is regarding SpiceJet gets DCGA notice for safety lapses. So we are saying there are some safety lapses in this SpiceJet, and because of this DCA which mainly gave some notice. So you have to know what is this DGCA here. And if you move forward, here you can see this landslip image. I discussed this topic and this is the video that I showed in introduction. And next one is ensure supply of safety napkins to schools. So this is a thing which mainly said by High Court. So what happened? So Delhi High Court which mainly ordered the city government to ensure uninterrupted supply of sanitary napkins. So because of this sanitary napkins which are not provided to the school children, especially that will lead to increasing of absenteeism of girls. Okay, and actually there is one program at the central level which is mainly talking about providing of this sanitary napkins for the girls. So let me know which is that scheme. And if you move forward, here you can leave these 2 pages. There is nothing much important and directly you can go to this editorial page. I discussed regarding this hate speech topic. I discussed about this pharma fees. And I discussed about this India and European Union article. So here this article that is regarding this 5 years of GST. So this topic which is mainly dealt by Savan sir in Economic Weekly. So you can refer this topic from there. And you can get great insights. And in this text and context, there is article regarding the keeping of advertisements in check. So it is regarding the new rules. So recently here Central Consumer Protection Authority which mainly recently issued the guidelines to prevent false and misleading advertisements. Okay, if time permits in the tomorrow's lecture, I will be taking this topic. So because it is very important. And there is one article regarding this India's trade deficit. So this topic will be also dealt in our Economy Weekly class. And if you move towards in this page number 10, there is nothing much important. And this page number 11, you can see PT Usha, Ilayaraja, and there are some 4 people they picked for this Rajya Sabha. Actually in Rajya Sabha we have number of seats, and out of these seats 12 seats they will be nominated by our president, especially in the fields of art, literature, public service. Actually these people, they were mainly nominated, that is Olympic sprinter, that is PT Usha, and music composer Ilayaraja, and philanthropist, that is Virendra Hegade, and next one is screenwriter V. Vijayendra Prasad. So you have to remember this topic and you have to refer about this nomination in Rajya Sabha. And if you move forward, you can see MSP should continue till markets become efficient. So this topic already dealt by our economy sir. And here in this business page, you can see RBI uses rules to boost forex inflows. So these are some important articles that appear in our today's Hindu. I hope this video it is very much helpful, and let me know your opinion in the comment box for sure. So by this I am concluding. Thank you so much. So after once you have login, click on the courses. There you can see course list. And in this course list you can see wide range of courses.